about how you all got started. Where did you meet?
Well, it's a somewhat convoluted story, but basically we met at a mime workshop school in a little town called South Paris, Maine, on the East Coast. That's run by a really fine teacher named Tony Montanaro. And the three of us were at the workshop. And then we sort of split up for a while. We didn't have an intention immediately to form a company, but in 1977 we were together in Seattle and formed the Seattle Mime Theatre there. So we had that common background.
And Elizabeth, this was when that you formed the company?
1977.
1977. So you all have been working together for quite a while.
It's been quite a, it's been
Long time.
7.5 years.
Not too long.
Longer than a lot of companies our size.
That's really my intention of saying that.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah, it's very unusual, actually. Most theater companies, dance companies, mime companies have a real rotation of personnel. Sometimes there might be one person who is sort of holding things together for years with a lot of other people working with that person. But we are unique, I think. I've never heard of another company that stayed together this long.
That's one of the differences between our company and many other companies. And that is to say that most companies, I would say, have an artistic director who holds everything together and makes the decisions. Whereas in the Seattle Mime Theatre, we're all individuals and equals. There's no artistic director. We work cooperatively and make cooperative decisions for the most part.
So you're interacting a little bit more like a family than you are as individuals. And
That's true.
how are you growing as far as your artistic abilities
I
go?
think our material has changed tremendously over the last 8 years, although there's still some things we do that we love and work so well. They're still in our repertory, but we take more risks now with some of our material, and we've really, I think, evolved in many ways. It's
one of the most difficult things we have to do is to describe what we do, because almost every piece that we do is so different from every other one that it's difficult to categorize them or describe them in a generalization.
I understand.
To make one comment on our evolution, when we first started performing, we did wear a traditional white face makeup, and we were primarily a silent performing company. And I think that's the popular view of mime in the United States now, as put out there by Marcel Marceau, who kind of regenerated interest in mime in the United States. But as time went by, we felt somewhat restricted by the white face, in that it was so strongly a silent medium that we discarded it and started making sounds and started speaking. And much of our work uses sounds, and some of our work really amounts to plays. We have 3 children's fairy tales, for example, that we have toured in the past, Pinocchio, Jack and the Beanstalk, and Cinderella. And they are 1 hour long, and they make use of masks and dialogue and props and costumes.
I would love to see you perform for us this morning. Would you mind doing something?
No.
I'm glad you said that. Good.
I think the first thing we can do here is have Bruce demonstrate some of the technique that the Seattle Mime Theatre can perform. As you can see, he's creating some flat wall surface. For us. Best is pushing. Bruce is a master pusher. So whether it be a clothes washer filled with wet clothes or a piano, his mime technique can allow us to really see the strain and the weight of that object. And what I'm going to do now is turn the mic over to Bruce and have him take it from there.
Right. Let's have Rick and Elizabeth out here. We've been in the schools all week, and one of the things that's been most popular that the children have seen is what we call a shape character. And the two of them stand very neutrally at first, and then we'd have several kids come up, 4 children will come up on stage, and would shape Rick and Liz just as if they were clay sculptures. And they'd move their heads and they'd make their faces in different shapes, any way they want to shape them. And they would just laugh hysterically as their classmates would be doing odd things with their limbs and torsos. And then they would finish, and then the children would sit down in the audience, and then the two sculptors would then come alive and start to improvise on the shapes they were given and create a little scene for the kids. We'll just start a little bit of that here right now. So the children would have a chance to improvise as artists, and then the actors would improvise on those shapes. And sometimes they'd be creatures, or sometimes they'd be more human, sometimes less. And we'd never know what was going to happen. It's very exciting. And sometimes we go out into the audience as these creatures and involve the children in what was happening. And so that was an example of the very physical visual theater that the Seattle Mime Theatre does. And that's the demonstration that we had planned for you this morning.